Hi everyone, it's Wednesday. This is the Celtic Way morning briefing. You join us on a huge night for Celtic, a monumental fixture, do or die clash, mouth-watering game at Celtic Park. I'm trying my best. Sorry, it's just not happening, is it?
It is what it is, unfortunately. These are the cards that Celtic have been dealt with, and we need to try and big it up as much as we can. But yeah, there's still plenty to play for, even if there's nothing to play for in a competitive sense.
B is not messing around. I don't even know if the video had started, and they were commenting saying if Celtic win tonight, it'll change the
Wow.
season. That is the kind of
Of
positivity
that.
that we need in this video, mate. I'm fed up of moaning, and I know we'll
Yeah.
probably do a fair bit of moaning as this video goes on. But I'm saying right now, I want a bit of positivity. I know tonight's game doesn't, really matter, and we covered yesterday why it might matter a little bit. And I know Brendan Rodgers has already said that we're playing for pride. He actually said that yesterday.
Yeah.
So I mean that's where we're at. How are you feeling about the game?
I'm more excited than I was yesterday, I'll be honest. I think yesterday's briefing certainly helped in that regard. Helped that Kevin had revenge on his mind from 1970. I like how you and I were just listening as if we weren't even thought of at that point, just nodding our heads. Yeah, I think maybe some of the positive updates, as we'll talk about throughout the briefing, have probably made things a lot more. I don't know, a wee bit more appetising for the game tonight. A couple of wee updates on social media too could mean the game's a bit more exciting because certain players are going to be playing in it. But yeah, it's Celtic Park. It's Celtic Park under the lights, regardless if it's competitive or not. You're always going to be up for a game, especially in Europe. By the time that Champions League music hits, and it'll be the last time we hear that before, hopefully, next season. Um, you know, uh, these games take care of themselves, and you never know. They might play for freedom. Both teams might play for a freedom because they know their fate, and it could be a good game to watch. But any excuse to go back to Celtic Park is a good excuse for me, to be honest.
Yeah, I do think we'll see goals tonight. I'm going to say that right away. I think we will. Michael Ross, yes, Michael, this match does matter. That's what we want to see. Shane, hail from... Now, is that St Kilda near me, Shane? Because that's very strange if so. I don't know if there's another St Kilda. That's literally 10 minutes from me, Ryan, so that's a bit strange. Hi, everyone. Helen and Paul and loads of other people, Michael, are all in and raring to go. It doesn't matter that it's a dead rubber and we're out of Europe already and we haven't won a European match in over 2 years, but we're all ready to go for tonight. And when was our last European win, Ryan, in any European competition?
Um, was it Ferencváros? No, it was Betis. It was Betis. Betis at
Over
home.
2 years ago. I think it was the 10th of December 2021. Which is like, and I know it's been a bit of a weird period because we no longer have qualifiers, and qualifiers, believe it or not, were actually pretty kind of good opportunity for us to at least win some matches. So we've actually not won a match in Europe in 2 years. I know it doesn't matter, but we just need to win tonight, because if not, it kind of gets to nearly 3 years probably by the time we have a chance to win a match. So I feel tonight is a good opportunity to kind of, like, the weekend is gone. It was really frustrating, but like we're still in a kind of good position overall. We still get January to come. Tonight's an opportunity for Celtic to really kind of announce themselves a little bit on this stage. I know it's a little bit, too little too late and all of that, but it's still an opportunity. But more than that, more than the kind of European stuff, a chance to give ourselves a wee platform going into Hearts of the weekend, to get everyone's kind of mood boosted a little bit, because I know we're all a bit down about tonight's game and all that, but if we do win tonight, trust me, people automatically feel a little bit better about things. And we do have some Brendan Rodgers stuff. First of all, I'll do the sponsor, which is MPH Group and Navian. MPH Group are Scotland's award-winning family-run all-trade specialist. I should have this off by heart at this stage. The cold weather running in, MPH has an enticing Navian boiler winter promotion just for you. As you know, they offer flexible finance options, so you can gear up for the winter and consider making a smart move with MPH and Navian. I forgot what I was going to ask you now. What was I going to ask you? Did I ask you something there? No.
It was about a quarter of the way through, and I can't even remember the quarter that you said now, because you took me aback by saying that you need to remember the MPH group off by heart. I think it was about 2 or 3 weeks before I could start saying it in my head. It got to the point my family members knew what I was saying as well, because they were so used to me saying it at the start of videos. I'm not actually sure. Was it something to do with the team, or was
Brendan
it something
Rodgers.
to do with the record? Brendan Rodgers. Okay.
What did you learn from yesterday? Any kind of takeaways from his press conference?
It's I don't really know, to be honest. It's an inconsistent tone, because one time and sometimes he looks down in the dumps, and then the next one he looks positive about getting the team going for Europe. He says that he wants to be the manager to break that barrier and bridge the gap between Celtic and the rest of Europe. I think a lot of people would have been watching Europe last night. You look at the likes of Copenhagen, who had what was said to be the smallest budget in the Champions League this year, estimated the smallest budget, and they've managed to get to the knockout stages, fully deserved. They've had some really good performances. A couple of players at Celtic know well, both because their dad played for the club and because they played for the club. And
his dad played for the club. I must have missed that.
I know that recently Joshua Kimmich get him and his cousin mixed up. Tarek El Younousi, he thought he was the one that played for Hoffenheim, so that was quite a funny clip that was doing the rounds. But no, it was Jordan Larson, of course. He's been in the hoops, but he was a wee boy when that was the case. But it's good to see El Younousi doing well as well for Copenhagen. But it shows you that it can be done. That bridge can be gapped if you put in the good performances and put in the hard work. It's just up to Celtic to get to that level. In terms of Brendan Rodgers, I thought, some of his comments were quite good. It's very much a roller coaster in terms of what he says, because he looked pretty neutral after the game on a Sunday. Surprisingly, I thought he would be a lot more annoyed than he was. But yesterday, I thought he was quite impassioned in some of his responses. And yeah, he seems like a guy that's certainly hungry for the game. He's hungry for pride tonight, and let's hope that he gets that win, because the last one that Celtic got at home in the Champions League was before he even came the first time. The last away win in the Champions League was when he was here at Anderlecht. So these records, even these unwanted records, they're there to be broken, and you're hopeful that will be the case tonight.
I think there's a fair chance he was managing Swansea when we last won a home game in the Champions League. I could be wrong there. He might have just been at Liverpool, but regardless, it's a long time ago. And I'm sorry, but it needs to end tonight. I thought Lazio was the perfect opportunity, and I know tonight if we win, it doesn't matter in the grand scheme of things. But I just want to win. I want to try and feel something from this campaign, because it's just been and when you couple it with last year's campaign as well under And, it's just been kind of non-stop heartache, and even the games that we've not lost, we've kind of come away from them all disappointed. Atletico and the 2 against Shakhtar, because we felt we should have won them. So it feels like every single time the full-time whistle's gone for the last 11 matches, there's been frustration. So I want tonight just to try and get a win, and I know I'll have people in the chat probably saying, why is that guy so optimistic? What's up with them? But I just want to feel a bit of enjoyment in Europe for a change. And I repeat, I know that it doesn't matter in the grand scheme of things, but it does to me, and I want to see it tonight. In terms of Brendan Rodgers stuff, he's I don't really know how to judge him at the moment. I know people are maybe wanting to see a bit of passion from him and all of that, but also you want your manager to be kind of on an even keel when things are good and bad. The previous manager got a lot of credit for not getting too high and not getting too low. So I do think that I've not got a massive problem with Brendan Rodgers not absolutely bursting through that press room door yesterday and doing a Neil Lennon and being incredibly angry. I don't really want that. I want to see a performance on the pitch tonight and at the weekend. That's the reaction I want to see. I'm not that fussed about how Brendan Rodgers comes across, but my main thing is what happens on the pitch, and also what happens in January, because those are things we need to get right, and that's what I really care about. In terms of what he said, we had Cameron Carter-Vickers and Dyson Maeda back in training, is that right? but they won't feature against
They won't feature
Feyenoord.
tonight, but maybe the weekend,
Yeah,
which is very good news. We need them both back.
Yeah. I think he said Kyogo's going to start. Has he confirmed that as well tonight against Feyenoord? Pretty sure I saw that.
Just reading between the lines with it, to be honest, I didn't see that exact quote, but that's.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure he did.
Yeah,
Might been in the written stuff,
so.
but I'm sure. Yeah, I'm sure.
It would make
Kyogo
sense if he starts as well. Yeah.
Yeah. What was the Hatate update as well? That was
After the
looking
Christmas
at a January return. Yeah. So
It
probably not
rolls
the
him out.
derby.
No, it rolls him out for the Glasgow derby against Rangers, unfortunately. But I think everybody got a bit of a boost yesterday afternoon. I don't know what time it would have been over there, but everybody seemed to get a boost yesterday afternoon when Hatate was pictured hugging Brendan Rodgers with a big smile on his face. He's smiling as well. People will be delighted. It's a double whammy because he's smiling and he's giving Brendan Rodgers a hug in training. So that's a double whammy, to be honest. Everybody knows on this podcast that he's my favourite player. I think he's the glue that sticks that midfield and forward line together. He's the guile in the midfield. And whenever he can get back, hopefully sooner rather than later. Don't want to rush him back too much because he's that important going into the run-in for the rest of the season, both in the league and the Scottish Cup. But hamstring injuries can be dodgy. I would rather Celtic take their time and then get the best version of Hatate back sometime in January. But there's, in some ways, there's a rush because you miss him in the midfield, and there seems to be loads of ins and outs with regard to midfield. But I'd much rather the best version of Hatate return. So I'm willing to be patient in that regard for one of Celtic's better players to come back.
Do you think there's any chance of him making the derby? What is it, 30th of December?
I mean, I don't know if he's ahead of schedule because he's already out on the grass, as those pictures showed, but I don't know. It's one of those ones that you don't want to rush him, but I'd much rather have a fully fit Hatate because we've seen before what a half-fit Hatate can look like, especially in a derby game. Seen it in the semi-final at Hampden a couple of years ago where he looked absolutely spent. I think that was mainly down to the fact that he'd played a full season in Japan before coming to Celtic, so that fatigue was very, very obvious. But I'd much rather the best version of Hatate waits, takes that winter break. Maybe there'll be a couple of friendlies in there as well that he can get used to before coming back. You're probably aiming towards the Bucky Thistle game being his first game back, I would say.
Hatate against Bucky Thistle, wow. That's some laugh, isn't it? I shouldn't laugh about that game because the way we're playing at the moment, that could be an all-time horror result. I think 17 days away from the game, the derby. I don't know a great deal about how long it takes, so I don't know a great deal about his injury, but players have kind of come back quicker than that. I mean, I'd say roughly from when you see a player back in training to back on the pitch for matches, it can be less than 17 days. I usually think it's about the 10-day mark. So I don't know. I've got a wee feeling that, I know Roger said yesterday that we're looking at January, but I've just got a wee feeling there could be a wee curveball thrown in, a wee exciting boost at the end of the year, and I'd certainly like to say that. I think Maida is a huge player as well, and obviously Carter Vickers is. So just to confirm, none of those three will play tonight for sure. Rodgers has confirmed that, but certainly you'd be looking at Carter Vickers and Maida for Hearts on Saturday. Hatate a bit after that. Do you want to talk us through your team? Actually, I'll get it on the screen.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So this came out at 6 a.m. this morning. I was doing it yesterday. I actually put Lagerbielke in the team before we put that sort of cryptic Instagram story up because I felt like.
What was that?
He put up an Instagram story with I think it was eyes and the soon emoji as well. So I don't know if that was the fact that he's going to be named on the bench because it's the Champions League and it's a bigger bench, or that he's maybe getting afforded a start in this game. I think regardless, I would play Lagerbielke in this game because it's good experience for the player and he needs game time too. There's been a lot of rumours swirling about that Brendan Rodgers simply doesn't fancy the player and he could potentially be away in January. I hope that isn't the case because he was potentially the Starfelt replacement. Sorry, you can probably hear my dog in the background. And he's a young player.
At that point.
No, he's not. No, she's not. She wants Phillips in for some reason. But yeah, I just want to see Lagerbielke because we've not seen him since. It's been a long, long time since he's been in the team. and Celtic have paid money for him. If Nawrocki was named for the Champions League squad, I would have had him in there as well, because it would have been good for him to get game time ahead of the game against Hearts. I think he probably will start against Hearts, because we've got to see him at some point. You know, he was Celtic's biggest signing in terms of monetary value in the summer transfer window. So got to see him at some point. He didn't look like he really put a foot wrong before he got injured, but I'd like to see Lagerbielke tonight. I tried to mix it up because I didn't want too many changes, because sometimes that can lose the fluidity. I know that Celtic have been playing with a lack of fluidity at the moment, but you know, you don't want a totally disjointed team, which is why I've kind of went with 50-50. Bernardo, usually, I made the point to Tony that he seems like the sort of Wicasso of this Brendan Rodgers team, and I mean that in the sense that you only really see him in European games. Wicasso played loads and loads of Europa League games and then wasn't fancied whatsoever for league games, and it seems to be the same with Bernardo. The reason why I put Bernardo in over Turnbull is that there was a comment that Brendan Rodgers made a couple of weeks ago, basically criticising David Turnbull for not being able to run, and saying that Bernardo will get the start in Champions League games because he can run about the pitch and make pressures and make things happen on the defensive end as well as offensively. I just think further up the pitch, Kyogo's got to start the game. As you said, in the written press, it looks as if he will start. So it could be a good chance for him to really reclaim that starting position and push on, because it has been a bit of a stop-start season for him, as it has been for Celtic as a whole. And then Forrest, I think Mikey Johnson's had more than enough chances to really stake his claim, and I don't think he has done so. He's flattered to deceiving games. Yes, he's had some good points, but you know, I don't think he's really taken his opportunity, and that's why I've put Forrest in. But is there any places that you would change there, Hamish, in terms of team selection?
There's a few. I had a wee look at my team, by the way. It's just interesting. I'm watching the comments coming in as you're speaking, Ryan, and you can tell that we're not massively happy with how things are going at the moment, because the amount of comments that are just like two words, and the first word's not, and then the second word is the player's surname. So we've got Danny saying not Taylor, we had Stephen saying not Bernardo, Dan saying not Bernardo, Chilpill not a fan of Bernardo either. Forrest getting a wee bit of unhappiness as well. It's a difficult one tonight, because I was kind of looking at the squad, and when you remember that, you know, Carter Vickers, Maida, Hatate, Abada all won't play, Nawrocki, who I would 100% have had in the team tonight, 100% isn't going to play because he's not in the squad. I think there was another one as well, I can't remember, but you're kind of down to the bare bones. I agree with your centre backs. I'm yet to see it from Lagerbielke, if I'm honest, but I've kind of got a bit more hope for him than Phillips, because he's our player, and he's probably a good few years younger than Phillips, I would think. So yeah, like, it's an opportunity for him, chance to kind of atone for getting sent off, you know, in the first game against Feyenoord. In Scales, like, we don't really have any other options. As I say, Nawrocki would definitely have been in there, but like, even goalkeeper tonight, I think if we had a decent second choice, I would be looking at that and going, yeah, let's see what you've got. But like, what do you really earn from putting Scott Bain in tonight? What do you earn from putting Siegrist in? You've obviously got the fella young, is it Morrison, the young goalkeeper, but Joe Morrison, I think, but like, you're not going to put him in there tonight, so it's like Hart's probably going to play right back. Like, my question here is, do you rest players across the pitch? And you're looking at, like, do you rest Alistair Johnson, but then like Anthony Ralston's there and he's not exactly like in great form and playing brilliantly at the moment, and I don't really fancy a scudding tonight, as I've already outlined. I think it's a game we should be looking to win. Greg Taylor, you know, similar. Like, who do you play if not Greg Taylor? Your midfield, ridiculous shout maybe from me. Actually, I've gone with a midfield of Iwata. Is Iwata in the squad?
He's he got named. He's been in squads. He's been in and out. I think he played against Feyenoord for a bit as well. He played in the reverse fixture.
He came on. So I've gone Iwata, O'Reilly and Bernardo. I've actually left McGregor out because I just think McGregor plays every single game for us, and I love Callum McGregor, but I don't think he's like been great recently. So I kind of quite like to maybe see that midfield and just see how it works. I don't think at the moment the way we're playing anyone's position should be assured. So Iwata, O'Reilly, Bernardo. Just on the Bernardo comments, I think he's kind of flattered to deceive a wee bit so far. I'm kind of waiting to see it from him because I had really high hopes for him. I kind of had him, similar level to Jota, obviously a different position, but I thought he would make that sort of impact, and it's just not happened. I don't think he's been horrendous, but he lacks that bit of pace. Kind of reminded me a bit of Aaron Moy in the Champions League last year, and obviously Moy turned out to be a good player, so hopefully the same happens with Bernardo. Front three, I've gone with Johnston, Palma and Kyogo. I just would like to see Johnson again. I take your point on board. Actually, I don't think he's been great, but I don't think he's been our biggest problem. And I'd just like to see him. And maybe if it doesn't work out tonight, you kind of move on from that. And obviously, it's kind of his last chance saloon as well, because Maida looks like he's coming back. Someone in the comments mentioned Abada as well, who we kind of forgot about there. Chilpil saying Hamish, there's no way Calmac won't play. Absolutely fair point. This is just my team that I would like to see tonight. So I think we're kind of similar, maybe 6 or 7 of the same names, Ryan, and a few different ones.
What I was thinking then, and your point, I take your point completely on board with regard to Mikey Johnson. Potentially, you could play him on the left tonight, which is his favoured side, and put Forrest on the right. If you wanted to see him in his more favoured position, he's been playing on the right due to the fact that Palma plays on the left. Palma doesn't need to play every game. You could even stick him on the bench. Could come on for the last half hour. The other one that I was tossing and turning about was Odin Thiago Home in the midfield. And you forget about him as well, because he comes in the team, has a couple of good games, and then maybe has a poorer game, and he's out of the team for a few weeks. There's no consistency with the midfield whatsoever. At least when you had McGregor, O'Reilly, Hatate, you knew that was going to be the midfield every week. And those three, it was always quite difficult to do predicted 11s because, or maybe not difficult, but difficult to get the word count because you knew that those three players were going to play. Now it's a bit of a lucky dip basically on who's going to be in that midfield game upon game. I don't know, it could be maybe a game for Odin Home. It depends on how much Brendan Rodgers sees this as a chance to rotate. He did talk about rotating the team a bit yesterday, but it depends on how much he wants to rotate, especially given the quality of the opposition, because Feyenoord are a very, very good team as well. I would think that they would probably rotate their team. Maybe a couple of their subs that would normally be on the bench will start tonight, just due to the fact that it's a busy schedule for them in the Eredivisie. I know they've got a winter break coming up soon, but it's a chance for them to rotate their squad a bit. So I think you will see rotation from both sides tonight. It's just to the level of which both teams do that. That'll be quite interesting to see at around about 6:45 when the teams come out.
Yeah, it's it'll be interesting, as you say, to see how much he looks to change it up. Again, you look back at that game 2 years ago, our last European win in the Europa League against Real Betis, and I'm sure Ange that night made 11 subs. Was that the night that, I think that was the night that hamstrings were going all over the park? I think we had about 4 injuries that night. I think Kyogo might have been one of them. I think he started on the bench, and then Ayeti pulled or tore his hamstring, and Ange brought Kyogo on, and then 5 minutes later Kyogo did that. So we could really do without, like, I'm not even going to say it, because the minute I say it, it kind of becomes a possibility in my mind. We could really don't want any injury stuff tonight, but just an opportunity maybe to find out a wee bit more about some players. It's just a bit difficult at the moment, because like you're saying Odin Thiago Home, and I kind of nodded my head when you said it, but then I don't know, like I'm just like, I was quite excited about him, and he's just kind of like, at the start when he came on in games he looked really good, but like he's kind of a bit of the Mikey Johnstonitis, in that when he actually starts a game he's unable to really really put in a performance and really kind of take a game by the scruff of the neck. So I guess we'll just wait and see the team tonight. Maybe we'll be surprised, Ryan. Maybe we'll get a reaction tonight, and as I say, a victory I think wouldn't kind of right the wrongs of the weekend, but I think it would give people a bit of a boost and maybe remind us that we are a decent team, and like we have played all right in this Champions League campaign. I know our results have been poor, but in the first 3 matches were decent enough.
It'd be a shot in the arm if Celtic win, or get a good result against Feyenoord, because it has the opposite effect if they get cuffed in the game, because things will not get better if they get cuffed. It will only get worse. I feel like that's obvious saying that, but at the same time, it certainly doesn't help matters, even though it's a dead rubber. Yeah, I think everybody associated with the club needs a bit of a shot in the arm especially after the game at the weekend. Everybody seems to be a downer, including myself. I feel myself being a bit annoyed speaking about Celtic over the past couple of days, but we're annoyed because we care and we care about the results, and it was such an avoidable one, especially in the second half. I know I don't really want to go on and talk about Kilmarnock again because it's in the past, but so avoidable as well. Given the performance, it's up to Celtic to turn that around and put in a good performance tonight. Players that maybe hadn't had too many starts previously will be coming into the team. We'll see that at around about 6:45 who gets picked for the team. It's up to them to make a fist of it and make an opportunity for themselves, because if they have a good performance on Wednesday, then it goes right into the manager's thinking for Saturday against Hearts. There's no, apart from maybe Callum McGregor, Joe Hart and Cameron Carter-Vickers if he's fit, apart from them, there's no real guaranteed starters at the moment. Matt O'Reilly as well, you could say. There's so many positions that are up for grabs. Celtic players should see this as an opportunity tonight to really go in the manager's thinking and make a name for themselves. If they can do that, then the squad will be in a far better place, because all of a sudden there's competition for places. There's no players that are really getting in the team just by default. And it gives the manager a good headache, because I'm sure he'll have been having bad headaches over the past couple of days, given the results. You want good headaches, not bad headaches.
Yeah, I'm getting pelters for not wearing sunscreen and stuff like that. Yeah,
They're an unforgiving bunch, this comment section, but they're always there.
They are indeed. They are indeed. We do, well, sometimes. I did actually I saw Rocco Vata's name mentioned about 10-15 minutes ago. Is there any, I'm not saying Rocco Vata because he's nowhere near it, but are there any young players you'd like to see? I saw there was a bit of chat about Mitchell Frame, the young left back, who's very good for me in Football Manager. I just want to say, kind of gave him a chance at the start of the season, and he actually became my first choice left back around this kind of December in my first season. So maybe if that's a real life representation, we could see him. Is this not the kind of game you'd like to see someone like that? I was going to say thrown in, but are they really thrown in? I know they're playing against a good side, but is this not where you kind of put someone in at left back where we're kind of struggling anyway? Take Greg Taylor out the firing line, put Mitchell Frame in. I think he's 17. See what he's got.
I'd be fine with that if it's like one or two players. The problem I have with that is when you throw these players in with wholesale changes and they kind of get lost in the thick of it. You find that loads of players are trying to get used to the game, used to their surroundings, used to playing for the first team. Maybe they've been on the bench for a lot of the time during the season, and then those young players can suffer. And you want to nurture these players and get them used to the first team. I'd much rather they come on with about 20 minutes to go or half an hour to go when the first team is still in the park, rather than not the B team. I don't want to call it the B team because the B team are playing today as well, but those sub players that maybe aren't automatic starters, I'd much rather they're in an atmosphere where they're playing with the first team, because that's a good way to hone their talent and get them into the first team if they're used to playing with those other first team players. I'd be fine with Mitchell Frame getting an opportunity. I'd much rather him coming off the bench than starting, to be honest, but it's very much a position at left back that's up for grabs at the moment. Greg Taylor is not firing on any cylinders whatsoever. The fact that the second choice left back, or supposed second choice left back, didn't even get called up for the Champions League squad back in August at the start of September is pretty much a damning indictment. I'll always say it, 3.75 million for a left back that can't even get in your Champions League squad is poor recruitment, regardless of what you want to say about it. Definitely a position that needs to get improved upon in January. I think that's an emergency position. I spoke about it yesterday about centre back being an emergency position back in the summer. I think left back is in January, because Taylor's noticeably bad at the moment in his performances, and that needs to be rectified with a new player. There was on the website, just a quick plug for the website, there was a good scouting report last week from Stuart Ross on Thiago Araujo, the Estoril left back who was in Benfica's academy, which seems to be a new shopping spot for players.
Our new Man City. Benfica are the new Man City, is that where we're going?
I don't know if there's a Portuguese equivalent of Dudu Dahan, but we've found him, that's for sure. But this guy, just from watching his clips on Y Scout and by reading Stuart Ross's scouting report, he looks exactly what Celtic need because he's imposing. He's a tall left back, but he can also motor with the ball, get the ball forward. He's a good cross to the ball. The player that he reminded me of, quite funnily enough, was El Hamid, which is a player that Celtic have maybe not missed, but missed a player of his type, that physical, imposing fullback. I thought he was really, really good in some of the games that he played in Neil Lennon's first season.
In Europe, his especially, he was good.
Lazio away in particular, he was phenomenal.
The COVID kind of did for him, didn't
home
it?
Sickness,
I can't remember the full story. I think he was home. I quite liked him. He's one of those players you blink and you missed him playing. Danny Fox, another one years ago, you kind of forget. He used to do a Cruyff turn every single match, Danny Fox, but you kind of forget these players. They just play for like 6 months and then go away. Maybe Nat Phillips will be one of them in plenty of years.
Yeah, and Celtic were so stacked in that position when you think back to it, because they had El Hamid, but they also had the emergence of Frimpong. And nobody thought that Frimpong was going to be a first team player almost instantly. But that was certainly the case. It looks as if Celtic are going to make quite a tidy sell-on fee, because it's 30%, I think. And I think the going rate for Frimpong at the moment is about 40 million. So they're going to get a good chunk of that cash. It's going to be quite good for Celtic moving forward. I think personally,
12 million, is it? If my maths is correct.
Something like that. I think, just personally, I think he's worth more than 40 million in this current market, but that might be down to his size as well. If he was a bit taller, then, and I know that could be quite high, and I'm not the tallest myself, so I can't say too much, but if he was a bit taller, then I think he would be going for potentially double that, to be honest. He's that good for this Leverkusen side under Alonso.
Yeah, Moritz Bauer there at the same time as well. I remember we had three right backs. God, those were the days. Now we don't even have any left backs, really, if we're honest. But who knows? Tonight might be the night we see the emergence or the re-emergence of some player. Hey, you're going along, Ryan? Is that right? Yeah. Yeah,
I'm going along. So, because that's the case, and because of a bit of shortages as well, there won't be a pre-match tonight, but there'll be a post-match. Tony's off, but he's very kindly said that he's going to join me for the post-match after the game, which I'll probably conduct in my car because it'll be pitch black by the time the game's over. So look out for that, maybe about an hour or so after the game's finished. Tony and I will do a bit of a deep dive on the game tonight, and also just Europe as a whole, and where Celtic need to improve based upon probably the game, on where they need to improve, or maybe things that they need to work on or build upon if the results were positive tonight. But regardless, we'll be live after the game.
And then we can draw the line under Europe for good, everyone, for another 10 months or so. Yes, tonight is the final game of our European campaign. Match day 6 of the Champions League. Celtic versus Feyenoord. And hopefully the team can find a performance and a result to kind of lift us from this gloom at the moment. Kickoff is 8 p.m. at Celtic Park, and as you say, you have a video afterwards. Then we'll reunite this time tomorrow for further chat about the team that we all love, even when they're not very good. Ryan, thanks very much. Thanks everyone for tuning in, both live and afterwards. And yeah, we'll speak to you very soon.